Willkommen, auf Wiedersehen, and Schwarzwälder Kirschtorte, as my German compatriots might say. Welcome to episode 25 of Inside the Video Store. Thank you once again for tuning in. That's probably too much red, but can you really have enough red? That's what I say. But irrespective, it's an interesting week. It is Boutique Bonanza week. Boutique Bonanza week. That week of the month where we just get inundated with a swamp of boutique Blu-rays and UHDs, which from now on I will shorten to the phonetic pronunciation of ood. It's a great week. Vinegar Syndrome is here as well. We'll have a little look at that. And we'll go through your many comments that have been hitting the YouTube channel this week. And thank you for doing so. What kind of week has it been here? It's been a good week. It's the end of the summer. I think if you have kids, then I presume they go back to school next week. Money is probably in dwindling supply for many people. Maybe a slightly quieter week by about maybe 6 to 8 rentals, but that's not a great deal to me. It's certainly not enough to worry me. But ordinarily, it's been really, really good. It's been interesting because I'm just looking at this week's films, which of course are led by Sasquatch Sunset, and just from an observational point of view this week, I've noticed a few walkouts. And that's something that I haven't really seen throughout the majority of this year. Most of my customers at the moment are from a certain demographic, say 18 to 45. Most of them are heavily into cinema, and I've kind of lost many of the people that were my meat and potato customers from maybe 15, 20 years ago. It's been interesting this week. I've seen a few of them come back in. Obviously, the shop's profile has been raised a great deal in recent months with articles in a few papers and a few little bits and bobs like the Globe for Best Small Business. I've seen a few people returning who are in the demographic maybe over 50. I don't want to generalize. But your fair weather renters who are just looking for, your standard films, your standard traditional thrillers, your Liam Neeson films, your mid-budget thrillers that don't really get made anymore. And they're kind of struggling. I can point them towards older stuff, obviously. Equalizer 3 is a cash cow at the moment because that's certainly the one that tends to tick all their boxes. But other than that, they're having a hard time to try and find new films that cater to their sensibility. Now you may say, well, Dave, do you honestly care? I'm probably best in a diplomatic way, best not to answer that. But it's a shame that these people are kind of being left behind. But you could say, well, they're the people who started this in the first place 20 years ago by going over to Netflix and ensuring that it was a top brand, or the top brand that it now is. And you could be right. 20 years ago, these are the first people to abandon ship. And these are the first people to say, oh, well, actually, Netflix will do me. You could say, well, who cares? Because most of the people now weren't in the movie trade 20 years ago. Most of the new customers now weren't really obsessed with movies 20 years ago. They were barely born. They weren't yet in their teens. So it's interesting. It's interesting to see that the switch, and it's interesting that these people come in who are nice people. But it's interesting to not really find anything that floats their boat. And I guess this week's lead film being Sasquatch Sunset kind of epitomizes that. It's a great film. It stars Jesse Eisenberg and Riley Key. And it's a very weird and wonderful comedy about a family of Sasquatches. But to your everyday renter, this will not appeal in any way. But it's kind of cool that it's the big film of the week. So yeah, I'm happy with that. I'm happy with that. But yeah, has anyone seen this yet? I haven't yet, but I've heard amazing things about it. It came out on Blu-ray and Blu-ray only from Icon in the UK this week. And yeah, I think this will be a very popular choice. I mean, you take the recent Blu-ray only cult movie, which was Hundreds of Beavers, and that has been out relentlessly. Every time it comes back on the shelf, it goes straight back out, which is nutty, but it's great to see because they are the films that are coming in and renting like mad. Whereby films that I don't know what I could pick recently. Well, maybe films like this. Watched this week's second film is from Ishana Night Shyamalan, produced by M. Night Shyamalan. Weirdly, this only came out on DVD. Isn't that bizarre for a film to only come out on DVD? No Blu-ray of this, especially with producer M. Night Shyamalan. It is strange, really. You would think that would have enough cachet for it to get a Blu-ray release, but no. But this probably would have a slightly broader appeal. But I would imagine that this would not do half the business that Sasquatch Sunset does on rental. But we'll see. We'll see. Be interesting. But yeah, it's an interesting time. It's an interesting period in movie rental at the moment. And it's interesting. I hadn't really thought much about the people that don't come in anymore. Because you don't. You embrace the people that do patronise the shop and that do come here relentlessly week in, week out and travel long distances. And they're the people who get your focus. It's very rare that you sit back and think, well, hang on, I haven't seen this person for 5 years or this person for 10 years, because you just presume they've moved on and they get everything they need from Netflix, which they probably do, to be honest. But they're probably seeing the rising prices of Netflix and Disney and Paramount and Prime with its adverts. Because it did annoy me this week. I watched something on Prime. I forget what it was. It was a documentary of some kind. Oh, it was Sven, of course, who died this week. And it's a great documentary. Brilliant. But of course you're watching it and it comes to quite a pivotal and almost emotional moment. And then just cut to a 30-second advert and it really wound me up. I think all the money that you spent at Amazon over the years and you've got to now spend more to have an ad-free experience. Madness, absolute madness. But hey, we take it, don't we? And finally this week, we have a film by Baz DeVos here, which looks like a really interesting film. And I love the cover quote on the back, which says, not much happens, except that everything does. Life, labour, and perhaps love. Every moment signifies in this lovely, unexpected movie. I don't get many films by New Wave Cinema. Is it New Wave Cinema? New Wave Films. Because they do tend to release very, very arty stuff that probably wouldn't find a home here just yet. Maybe in the future. But I thought this one does look very interesting indeed. And I think this will appeal to a number of customers. So hey, that's what we got in. We got in here a film by Baz DeVos. So that's this week's 3 films. Crazy how it's slowed in terms of the new releases. But autumn is upon us soon. September, October, November are traditionally a big time for home entertainment where a lot of money is to be made. So I expect a kind of increase in sort of everyday new releases coming in. Should we see what's been renting out? Let's have a look. Interesting selection this week. Maybe a little bit less obscure than normal, but nevertheless I will throw some at you. Now this first one's an interesting one. Ron Howard's Far and Away. I'm not saying it's an interesting one because of the content, because quite frankly I could care less about this film. But nevertheless, an older couple, ironically, rented this film alongside The One in Red with Gene Wilder. And as I was taking it out the case and putting it in the rental box, I noticed that I had a really dark shadow across about half of the disc. And I thought, I don't think that's going to play. So I might be wrong. They haven't been back with it yet. I think they're due back in a couple of days. But be interesting. And, considering the number of discs in this shop, which is in excess of 17,000, I'm yet to experience I was going to say any, maybe one film so far that has seemed to have some kind of degradation over the years. I think, was it Wrong Turn? I think it had a similar kind of thing, had a shadow across half of the disc. Different company, this is Universal. But yeah, interesting. But I've ordered a replacement nevertheless, because it was pennies. But it's always, a heart in the mouth kind of moment when you do think for a second about the durability of your stock, and you think some of the original first generation DVDs, is it a ticking clock? So has anyone else experienced that? How about you guys with your collections? Have you had many discs that have kind of degraded over time? Some of my Warner archives, for example, with them being DVDRs, I'm a little bit tense over those. And anytime I spend money on a Warner archive DVD, I kind of think, well, how many years have I got with this? But we'll see. So far, we're all right, but it'd be interesting to see what you think. I probably should have upgraded this. This is Ghostwatch. But it's 101, and that's a long story. But I will upgrade it because Ghostwatch is a real perennial renter. It rents out at least once a month, and it went out again yesterday. I think it did. Did anyone get the Blu-ray? Does it improve the content at all? Are there many great special features? I don't know, because of course this had the commentary on it from Stephen Volk and co. So it'd be interesting. But yeah, I must upgrade that because the DVD I got that on release day when it came out. Fascinating piece of work. I do love Ghostwatch. This hasn't been out for ages. It's Cannibal the Musical by Trey Parker and Matt Stone. One of Liam Regan's favourite films, I think, and ironically, Liam Regan's Eating Miss Campbell rented out yesterday to our friend Jake. Yeah, this is great. Has Lloyd brought this out on Blu-ray yet? Because this could do with a timely upgrade, but I don't know if it has. I don't know if Troma have retained the rights or whether it's gone back to Matt and Trey, but it's great. I mean, what a piece of work. So funny, and it's great to see it renting out. I posted this one as a daily movie roulette. I don't know if you follow me on Instagram or follow the shop on Instagram. I do a daily movie roulette where I pick a film at random off the shelves and post it. I think it's a great tool to highlight the diversity and the range of films I have, and I can pick out some really weird and wonderful stuff. This, however, is one of my favourite documentaries of all time about the brilliant photographer from New York, Bill Cunningham. It is absolutely wonderful, life-affirming, brilliant documentary about a character who, it is one of a kind. I did a TV special last week. I don't know if you remember. We were hunkered down in the back and we looked at a couple of the TV series that I've got in storage. All available to rent, but just, lack of space means they're in storage. And our friend Ed, Beasts, Course Design, Nigel Neal's Beasts, so he came in to rent that this week. Great to see it renting out. 6-episode series. And yeah, it's a very, very good combination of British horror and drama. And it's great to see it renting. Brilliantly dated, but, who cares? This is probably the biggest renting film this year. And I've only had it in for 4 months maybe. Star 80 by Bob Fosse. It just rented relentlessly. Every time it comes back, it goes back out. It must have been out, I think, no. I don't know how many times it's been out. Probably not the most rented film. That's, what is the most rented film this year? Probably Barbie. Oh well. But, among the sort of back catalogue, among the Warner Archive, certainly the best renting Warner Archive film, Star 80, which I still haven't got a chance to see yet, because no one gives me the chance, god damn it. One of my young customers came in this week, and we had a good chat about renting the unrentable. He was keen to watch, he was kind of torn between a Serbian film and Irreversible. I said, don't watch them with mum and dad, if that's all right. Well, maybe they might like it. But yeah, I didn't know which to point him towards, but I think Irreversible is the better film of the two by far. So I thought, well, while they both deserve a look at... sorry, my light's gone. So the red has gone. The red barely lasted 12 minutes. Batteries for you. Anyway, I'm in darkness, so that's probably enhanced your viewing experience, honestly. But so yeah, I went for Irreversible because it's a film you can only watch once, like a Serbian film. But I think it's the better film of the two that I would say he needs to watch. And finally, with the on loan films this week, Lee rented Grindhouse, although I think he's just rented it to experience Death Proof, a Tarantino film that he's not seen. Exciting. I know Death Proof has a number of knockers. Bad turn of phrase. And I'm not one of them. I love Death Proof. It's one of my favourite Tarantino films. Although most Tarantino films are inseparable, in my estimation. I know a lot of people aren't too keen on the man himself, which never really understood. He's just someone who's passionate about films. And I think Death Proof is an absolute masterpiece. That's great. So I'm hoping Lee thinks the same. It'll be interesting to see what he thinks. I know he's back fairly sharpish. He's renting a few films over the weekend, so I'll be waiting to hear his reaction to that. But yeah, some good films renting out this week. Some good films. People always surprise me. So what should we look at now? Should we look at the boutique arrivals, or should we look at Vinegar Syndrome? Let's look at these boutiques, because this could take a while. It is a mega week, to be honest. I mean, I'll be frank with you. My bill for these boutiques touched over £300. And you do think to yourself, if you have a broad taste in films, how can you fork out for 1 week's releases? It's a great position to be in, but it is kind of tricky. I spoke to a few people about this a couple of weeks ago on Twitter, and they said, I've had to cut some loose. A few people are cutting the Asian films loose. They're not buying as many Eurekas as they did. And a few people are making savings in other places. But it is tricky. It is tricky. I think we have got to the stage now where, we can't have as many blind buys as we used to. But I'm not one to moan, because it is a great, great position to be in. A fortunate position, and I am personally in a very fortunate position, because this is my job to buy these films, and thankfully people are renting, which means I can buy more. But yeah, for your standard collector, I don't envy you, because if I wasn't working here, and if I had a regular 9-to-5 job, if I had to work for a living, which I am yet to do, thankfully, then I don't know what I would do. I would, it would be a torturous decision. But still, let's have a look. We have The Bodyguard from Beijing, which, contrary to Amazon, they're listing the 4K UHD is dual format. So the 4K UHD does have the Blu-ray and also the UHD in it, which is great. 88. I've kind of gone for a few single UHDs at a time, as have Arrow, and I do love dual formats. Personally speaking, that they work for the store, but I just think they're handy. And if you're making a 4K, if you're going to the expense of making a 4K, then surely a little extra on the blue makes sense, and it makes the increase in price more justifiable, I think. So yeah, that is The Bodyguard from Beijing, directed of course by Corey Ewan, and of course we got the terrible news in the past week or so that Corey Ewan has in fact died. He died over a year ago, but his family wanted to keep the news private. What a director, martial arts coordinator, filmmaker, stuntman, everything. Just brilliant, absolute legend of Asian cinema. So it'll be great to have this in store. And to celebrate his legacy. Hopefully much more will continue to come. From Eureka we have Wolves, Pigs and Men, a Yakuza film, which I don't know a great deal about. But it sounds great. On the back it said it kind of blends French New Wave and American film noir with Yakuza. So, I mean, it sounds like a really, really cool film. So, Master Cinema are putting out some amazing releases, and one of them undoubtedly is this. Early Laurel and Hardy, The Silent Years, which goes way, way back, 1921 to 1927. Wonderful, 15 silent shorts. It's so great when you read about how many silent films have been lost over the years. I think it's something ridiculous, like 90%, wasn't it, of films prior to 1940? Something. That's a really badly researched fact. I'm sure someone will correct me. But nevertheless, it's great to see films like this still around, being restored, and with a wealth of special features. Stunning. Actually, Eureka got a set coming out in 4 weeks' time, haven't they? I don't know what the title of the set is. I know the specs got announced a couple of days ago. And it's a vast set. I think they're retailing it at $89.99. Tim Lucas has done about 7 or 8 commentaries for it. I don't know. I think it's 1913 to 1915, isn't it? But yeah, silent cinema is kind of ripples away. Metropolis and stuff like that go out, and some of the Fritz Lang stuff, and I'm trying to think what else goes out. Some of the Mabuse films. But yeah, it's a tricky one to invest 90 quid in. I don't know if I can justify that, but I will see. But as for this, I mean, Laurel and Hardy are popular as it is. I've got that 15-disc Laurel and Hardy collection that's been on the market for years and years. So good, so good. This one is out already. A Man Called Tiger. Jake was in yesterday and he rented this, which is cool. Jimmy Wang Yu, because, you can't go wrong with Jimmy Wang Yu. This was rumoured to have been planned as a third collaboration between Lo Wai and Bruce Lee, before Lee made his directorial debut with The Way of the Dragon. But instead, A Man Called Tiger became a vehicle for another martial arts superstar in Jimmy Wang Yu. And here we are. This should be great. I'm hoping that Jake enjoys it. He was the first person to rent it. And yeah, that's great. It's great to see more of his films coming out. Shameless is still plugging away. This is the latest. Who Saw Her Die? They released it, of course, on DVD. Years and years and years ago. Aldo Lado directed it, and it's just a fantastic giallo. Really cool to see it coming out on Blu-ray. George Lazenby is in it, and of course has an Ennio Morricone score, and I love that new artwork on the cover. That's really, really cool, isn't it? So yeah, there's the new Shameless Blu-ray. Excellent stuff. Gorky Park I didn't have on DVD, which seems a bit of an oversight, considering it's directed by Michael Apted and stars Brian Dennehy and Lee Marvin and William Hurt, and it's adapted by Dennis Potter, the great playwright. Sounds like an amazing story. I've not seen the film. Like I said, I didn't have the DVD in stock, so it just seemed like a no-brainer to get the Blu-ray, which is out this week from Final Cut Entertainment. It's bare bones, but still good to have. Another one from Studio Canal. The Vintage Classics Collection. They keep on churning these out relentlessly. I think, only glanced at the news, but I think Studio Canal are starting a Vintage Classics streaming service, which will be interesting. I think it's in collaboration with ITV. I don't know. But nevertheless, this is Alan Bates, Denham Elliott as well, and Millicent Martin. Working class social satire. Can't beat it. This, I do believe, again, I'm going to continue with my unsubstantiated facts today that may be complete and utter bobbins, but I will keep on throwing these at you. I believe that, isn't Guesthouse Paradiso Indicator's fastest selling DVD? Blu-ray, rather? Isn't it? I'm sure it's their fastest selling Blu-ray of all time. Something like that. I know they announced an original print run of 3,000, but then they had to double it to 6,000 before release date. Might be wrong with that. I have been known, but I'm sure that this has been selling like hotcakes. Unfortunately, there's no new bits on here from Aid Edmondson, but still, it's great to have Guesthouse Paradiso on Blu-ray. The DVD hasn't rented out much in recent years, but hopefully this will revitalise the film, the title, and Just wonderful, wonderful anarchic slapstick. Beautiful stuff. Bill Nighy's in it as well. I forgot about that. Back to 88. We have Orgasmo. Orgasmo, another giallo. I mean, it's crazy, isn't it? You know, you go back a few years and Italian cinema was barely represented in the video store. You know, maybe 15 years ago, 20 years ago, and now it's throbbing with classic Italian genre cinema. It's quite something. This one is from Umberto Lenzi. Carol Baker stars. And wow, just aren't we lucky? Aren't we lucky? This has the director's cut as well, and the US X-rated cut, as well as 2 new commentaries, which is very nice indeed. So yeah, that's so cool. Another one for the Italian collection by 88 Films. This Jackie Chan film was a little bit more expensive. I'm guessing that's because of the hard box. I do love these hard cases. I mean, definitely worth $19.99. But yeah, we have Island of Fire. Set in a Taiwanese prison. I think, wasn't it called something else? I know when I put it into Ujima Flip, my database, it came up as an alternative title, but I forget. Doesn't matter. But yeah, new Jackie Chan, Island of Fire. Very exciting, from 88 Films. Lovely. Keep on going. We have another Italian film by another one of the masters, Fernando De Leo. Just got a Fernando De Leo t-shirt, which I shall be showing off to my customers this weekend, hopefully. And yeah, the Italian collection, a noted influence on Pulp Fiction, of course. And just a great Palacio Tesci film. Really, really good. Henry Silva, Woody Strode. I mean, it just doesn't get much better than that, does it? Great new features as well. Really, really cool. But yeah, just an absolute bonanza this week for classic Italian genre cinema. It is remarkable. I've got this over there, I think, on DVD, or it might be around the corner. It is Island of Terror with Peter Cushing, directed by Hammer legend Terence Fisher. Yeah, tentacle creatures in an island community. Just wonderful, absolutely wonderful. I don't know if I've seen this. I know I've had it on DVD for quite some time. But this comes with a new commentary by film journalist David Flint. And some, really cool artwork by Sean Longmore, which is nice. But yeah, this is another one in their assorted collections. They're doing a Tygon collection, and this is part of the Planet Film collection. Planet Film, of course, a short-lived entity, but nevertheless, 88 are grabbing those films and putting them on Blu-ray, which is exciting. Finally, 2 box sets we have from Radiance. Now, I'm guilty with Radiance because Radiance is the label I cut, which is a shame because they really do put the effort in. They release such great editions, brilliantly packaged, wonderful stylish artwork, brilliantly. I love these Ganavo cases that they put the films in. And yeah, that's kind of my one regret, is that I didn't get on the Radiance bandwagon early on. But then again, I probably couldn't afford them now anyway. They probably exceed my budget. But I had to make room for this because I love these world noir box sets. Noir is kind of a real passion of mine. American noir, of course. So to get some noir from around the world is just great. We've got one from Germany, one from France, one from Japan. Cruel Gun Story, Symphony for a Massacre, and Black Gravel. I mean, look at that artwork. That is so good, isn't it? I mean, you would glance at that and you would not want to see it. So yeah, I do like these world noir sets. This is the second volume, and it gives them a bit of leeway, I guess, doesn't it? To kind of fit in whatever they want into these sets. But I think they're great. I do think they're really, really good. I didn't actually get the first one until it went down in price. I think they were giving it away at like £27 or something. I thought, well, let's go for it. But this one I got on release day because I thought, well, yeah, let's do it. And there we go, World Noir Volume 2. A really, really nice set, and I'll stick that with all the box sets in the back there. And my back display case. And finally, in this week's boutique releases, we have Confessions. We all love them, don't we? There's old Robin. We have Confessions from a Holiday Camp, Confessions of a Driving Instructor, Confessions of a Pop Performer, and Confessions of a Window Cleaner. British smut. It's surprising the people that pop up in these. You don't realise, people like, obviously Tony Booth is in so many. John Le Mesurier. Who else have we got? Diddy David Hamilton, Bill Maynard, Windsor Davis, Irene Handel, Linda Bellingham, a host of British, Lance Purcell, a host of British icons. And these did crazy money at the cinema, didn't they? I know, certainly the first one did. But yeah, I mean, there's part of me that's a bit frustrated with stuff like this. I mean, you think in America, when in America they wanted to make, erotica, they did it hardcore. And they got great artists to make really exciting films. But we didn't so much, really. We just sort of made comedies because we Brits have a weird relationship with anything like that. But there we go. And as a historical thing, it's an interesting set. I watched Confessions of a Driving Instructor this week, and although you cannot say by any degree it's a good movie, I still felt no compulsion to turn it off and had a damn good time watching it. Because it's great. It's a time capsule, isn't it, from simpler times. So they are this week's boutiques. Just a crazy assembly of films. What a time to be a video rental store. What a time to be a customer. What a time to be a customer. What's in the box? We have one delivery today. That's fairly lame. That's probably thrown away. It is thrown away. Hopefully this isn't... not a good start. Yeah, this looks absolutely perfect. It's weird that the one I rented had such a shadow. But hey, we shall see. See when it comes back. Now I've got two deliveries to go through. One single title, and then Vinegar Syndrome. The single title is probably one of the releases of the year. I've just finished watching it at home. I don't know if you remember, but Studio Canal put out High Crime last year on Blu-ray, and the ending was missing. It was a carbon copy of the French release. Missed the last 10 minutes off. Completely pointless. But thankfully, and they've been working on this for 20 years, Blue Underground have now put out High Crime on UHD, Blu-ray, and included a CD of the soundtrack as well. This is an immense release. And it's an essential, one of the few essential releases this year, I would say. It's also only the second film in my life I paid over £40 to buy. Single film. But I think I justify it because it is one of the best Poliziotteschi films ever made, in my estimation. It's directed, of course, by Enzo G. Castellari. It's wonderful. Every aspect of this is just sheer perfection. Franco Neri's performance, the soundtrack by... I forget. But yeah, absolutely stunning. Absolutely. Oh, Guido and Maurizio De Angelis. It's just stunning. And I must admit, I am a little bit of a cynic with UHD, only because the UHDs that I buy tend to be B movies. And I kind of watch them and think, well, did that really need to go on UHD? But this looks fantastic on UHD. It really, really does. This is one of the best UHDs I've seen. Looks fantastic. And it is just a perfect film. And some of you may say, well, I don't want to spend £43 on High Crime, but it's worth it. You can get the Blu-ray for a standard price, but I have to get this dual format because it's just great. It is one of my favourite Italian cop movies, and it's one of my favourite purchases of the year so far. Well done, Blue Underground. And funny enough, the other film I spent over £40 on was another Blue Underground film, Goodbye Uncle Tom, which again is an immaculate release of a very shady film. Vinegar Syndrome. Vinegar Syndrome have just started a sale again. Doesn't it get a bit wearing that companies like that, one sale a year goes to 2 sales a year, goes to almost a sale every month? It is a bit, isn't it? It's a bit cynical. And it kind of makes you think, well, why should I pay full price for anything that comes out when you can have a sale, pretty much every other month? It's an odd one, but still, it's fair enough. If it makes them money, if it makes them restore rare and weird films, then who cares? I guess it's all about the end game. It just seems a bit. What do we got? Devil Times 5 is the key release from Vinegar Syndrome this month. Another 4K UHD dual format with a Blu-ray. Hadn't seen this before, but if you like your killer kids movies, this is one of the best. It's classic drive-in fare. Great story about these 5 kids who escape from a mental home, and they stumble across this place, kind of opulent living accommodation with people in it that you don't really like that much. But yeah, it's good. It's a really, really good film. I did enjoy it, and yeah, that's out now, 4K UHD and Blu-ray from Vinegar Syndrome. I've had this at home all week. I've yet to watch it. I've started it 3 times and fallen asleep every single time. That must happen to you. It's Hell's Trap, which is another Mexican genre film. Pedro Galindo, who directed Vacation of Terror 2, which I really did like. It's a slasher from 1989. And yeah, I will take it home again tonight, and I will definitely see it through to the end. This is a weird British film for Vinegar Syndrome to put out. It is Bloodbath at the House of Death, which of course stars a plethora of wonderful British talent, like Kenny Everett, who no one outside the UK will know, and Vincent Price, Pamela Stephenson, John Fortune. I mean, what a wonderful cast of Brits. And of course, co-written by Barry Cryer, the legendary Barry Cryer. I haven't seen this. I don't know if I've even. I don't think I had it on DVD to begin with. But yeah, that's kind of a weirdly exciting release from Vinegar Syndrome. So yeah, that's a good one for me. I'm so pleased that Umbrella are releasing their films through Vinegar Syndrome. Very exciting. The latest kind of looks really cool. I love the artwork. Sky Pirates. It's like a I like the opening paragraph. In the wake of the success of Raiders of the Lost Ark, maverick exploitation auteurs John Lamont and Colin Eggleston join forces on this breezy, tongue-in-cheek, thriller-minute, big-screen epic inspired by the love of the Republic Pictures cliffhanger serials. So yeah, this kind of looks like a Biggles style thing, and I think it has an end sequence. I thought it was filmed at Easter Island as well. But yeah, really cool to get some Umbrella stuff in. That's excellent. This weirdly was an AGFA film I didn't have in on. I know they released it on DVD already. I didn't get that for some weird reason. But this is the films of Rennie Martinez Jr., which are an interesting collection of films. But yeah, looking forward to watching these. I do like a bit of blaxploitation style stuff. Should be good. I think he was from Harlem, was he? But yeah, these look absolutely crazy. Oh no, Miami-based DIY filmmaker. Right. Wow, that looks amazing. So yeah, can't wait to have a look at that. Floridian exploitation. Isn't there a letterbox page for the Florida exploitation movies? I'm sure there is. And finally, from Vinegar Syndrome, aka Melusine.com, 2 pornos. We have The Mark and Erotic Passion, which are both. These are Greek porn, an oft overlooked entry in the history of European hardcore. A cut above the competition, apparently. So yeah, a bit of Greek XXX, which should be interesting. And of course, as I say every time, these will not be rented to the British public. These will be stored in a safe location way behind the counter, out of sight and out of mind. We do not endorse perversity of any kind. Woman in Love, not the film that you will think it might be. This is Woman in Love, not Women in Love. The Alan Bates and Oliver Reed thing. Great cast: Vanessa Del Rio, Samantha Fox, not the Samantha Fox that you're thinking of, Eric Edwards, Robert Kerman from Cannibal Ferox, of course, who had a long established porno career, Paul Thomas, icon, directed by Kamal Horolu. Not familiar, but yeah, it's a New York porno, and another great one from Melusine.com. Which is great to see. It'll be interesting to see what they announce in the next few days for September. So yeah, that is this week's What's in the Box. I hope I haven't bored you with the sheer volume of stuff that's come in, but what can you do? Let's have a quick look at the comments. Let's have a look at the comments. What do we got? What's exciting? What are people messaging with? Can I get my laptop to work? That's kind of the main thing. We have an email. Do you buy DVDs? No. I get people phoning every day. But yeah, this guy's asked, do you buy DVDs? I have a large collection of Blu-ray and ordinary DVDs I'm looking to get rid of, singly or as a collection. Sadly, I don't. Unfortunately, what you find is many people have a large collection, and it's just valueless stuff. It's Mrs. Brown's Boys times 1,000, and people hang on to their collections, often thinking that they're worth fortunes, but they're not. The vast majority of the stuff in the store is worth next to nothing. But there is, a couple of things that are worth a few quid, but not many. Maybe 2% of the total stock is worth something. But maybe in years that might change. Maybe in years to come that might change as things become more and more hard to find. We had mainly the comment focused on TV series. A few people were telling me which TV series that they would maybe lean towards. Because I asked the question, if you were building a TV archive, what TV series would you store as something that might not be accessible in years to come? So yeah, people got back at me with some really interesting answers. Indie Phantom said about Homicide: Life on the Street, which I have, Twin Peaks, which I have, Tales from the Crypt, which annoyingly has never had a British release past VHS. Why doesn't someone release Tales from the Crypt? That would be so cool, but never mind. Paul Berryman mentions about Brian Trenchard Smith, who I mentioned last week. He says there's a great interview with him alongside his wife on the Umbrella disc of Stunt Rock. I just haven't got Stunt Rock. I must pick that up. That'd be great to have. Nathan was in yesterday renting some films. He said it's so great to see other people in his demographic, young, discover amazing cinema from around the world. Skilda says he was looking at his collections of TV, and he's kind of split them up into UK and US comedy and various HBO. He said he's cut down a lot from collecting TV, but from time to time he still adds some to the collection. The latest being the Columbo set, which, that Columbo set on Blu-ray does look very good. Frustrating that everyone had recorded special features for it that they couldn't add on. I don't know what happened there. But still, Columbo on Blue is good. Coffee Jesus CJ says that maybe you should consider getting Starfleet, the god tier Japanese puppet show. I agree. And The Second Coming, which of course was Russell T Davies. I do have some Russell T Davies. I have the original series of Queer as Folk, but I don't have The Second Coming, which looks really, really interesting, to be honest. Death by Mark mentions that Teenage Fan Club was his second concert ever. I got the classic Teenage Fan Club album in last week, but that's another thing. You don't want me to lecture you on my music tastes, because that would be a very long show. Tom Jonas mentions that The Lakes seems to be a little bit hard to find, but as Graham Reed does say, there is a release on Second Sight. Carl McLaughlin mentions they just received a Severin order this afternoon. Mine still hasn't been shipped. We're a week later now. They said, however, they're going to get everything shipped by September the 11th. Hope that's not an odd. No, I won't go there. But yeah, they should be shipped by September 11th, which seems still 2 weeks away. Still getting twitchy, but I must be patient. Yeah, I haven't ordered their new announcement, which is the latest folk horror set. Kind of looks interesting, to be honest, but I don't know. Yeah, reluctant, but still, think about it. Didn't get the first volume because a bit of repetition in the first volume, wasn't there, with Ben Wheatley and a few other bits I've had in. But yeah, anyway, moving on. Yeah, weirdly, Daniel says that Married with Children doesn't appear to be streaming on any platform in the UK, which is just nuts, isn't it? Such a massive show, but it's not streaming in the UK. There is a DVD box though, you can get about 50 quid. But yeah, weird one. David Ackerman says that he got his Severin order about 10 days ago. Just rub it in, David, why don't you? Picked up Opera, Dario Argento's Deep Cuts, and 2020 Texas Gladiators. Good sale, it was a good sale. The Don't Tell Show says, got a silly question to ask. I like silly questions. When a DVD is rented, are there any royalties paid to the people who made the film? No. Moving on. No, people, I get messages in every year from people who want to start a DVD shop. And the first question they say is, how do I go about getting a license to rent DVDs? I've never had a license. And no one has ever said, I need a license. We've been doing this as a family since 1995. That's nearly 30 years. And never needed a license. You just need to buy authentic stock. Obviously no dodgy discs. And that's it, really. It's weird, the thing that people kind of presume you need a license, or there's money owed to royalties and things like that. But nope, that is not the case. That is not the case. Jenna Fish says you should carry Blackpool with David Tennant and David Morrissey, as it was a great, weird show. And Matt Bloggs rightly says that you should definitely have South Park Season 14, which has the censored episodes featuring Muhammad, and also Simpsons Season 3, which has the Michael Jackson episode, which is not on Disney+. That's true, I should have those censored episodes. That would make a great deal of sense. Film Wolf mentions the two Kolchak TV movies have the series, but not the TV movies, because they have not been out in this country on DVD, which is annoying. I had them on video, and they're great. And finally, Neil Davis mentions that he enjoyed Fear. Wahlberg suited the part, and you can't fault William Peterson. You can never fault William Peterson. He's an absolute icon. And even in a lame role. Doesn't work so much now, does he? Haven't seen him in much. I guess with David Caruso, the CSI money kind of, paid for a good life. And why not? Finally, let's do some Sleeping Giants. Interesting selection of Sleeping Giants this week. These three films are not streaming in the UK, which is weird. And 25 now, episode 25, so we've done 75 of these. They're still easy to find, 75 good films that are not streaming in this country, which goes to show you that all the knuckle draggers that come in that say, well, you can get anything online, you really can't. First film I picked is, I've just been doing an essay on a Richard Dreyfuss film, and one of the interviews mentioned Mr. Holland's Opus. I've watched this film a number of times and wept profusely every time. I love this film. I think it's amazing. Not a very cool thing to say, but I frankly don't care. But yeah, Mr. Holland's Opus is not streaming anywhere, which is just weird. An Oscar-winning film, an Oscar-nominated film for sure. But yeah, that's an odd one. It's not even 30 years old. Crazy. Secondly, I picked up Hard Rain. Hard Rain is just a good, old-fashioned, ridiculous thriller with a good cast. Yeah, I don't think it did too well at the box office, did it? But just a good thriller with Morgan Freeman and Christian Slater. The type of thrillers you don't really get that often anymore. But this was great. And yeah, it's not streaming, which is crazy, because it's such a cool film. And finally, we have Mystery Team. I had to import this from Australia. I just find this hilarious. It is, of course, the comedy sensation. I don't think... Are they still a thing? Derek comedy? But yeah, it is. Donald Glover, DC Pearson, and Dominic Dix, who have made this brilliant, hilarious comedy about like kid detectives that grow up but still remain kid detectives. And it is very funny. Very funny. I love this film, Mystery Team. But no, you can't stream this either in the UK, which, once more, is absolutely crazy. And that's about it. Hopefully I haven't dragged this on for too long. I've got some exciting news next week. I have a wonderful, super talented artist come in who's 19, and he's designed a new DVD insert, a new box insert for my films, for my rentals. And it's a piece of work. It's a Da Vinci style piece of absolute high art. And I've just sent it off to the printers and getting them all sent in tomorrow. Hopefully they'll look amazing. It's on glossy paper. Spent a fortune on making people's cases look brilliant, and I think it'll enhance the thing, because, you know, while the cases I've had in for years that sending home have been fine, I just think something a bit more high-end kind of represents now that this is kind of a high-end store. There's high-end products here, and they're high-end people coming here now, really important people who have got really good taste. So I kind of wanted to change that and make it the thing you take home feel more special. That's not to denigrate the person who did the art before that, because Mike is doing some great work for me on the merch. But yeah, the new piece of artwork is just jaw-dropping. So hopefully I'll show you that in reality next week. But yeah, that is it. Next week's show is the first week of the month, so I expect it to be absolutely quiet. And hopefully I should run through it in 15 minutes rather than keep you here for close to an hour. But yeah, that is it. If you want to follow me, you can do so on the usual places you know by now where to go. And yeah, please keep your comments coming. Questions, thoughts, suggestions. Yeah, whatever. Anything. And yeah, as always, I will see you in 7 days' time.